Is it credible, do you think, in the circumstances that the people over at Didi didn't consider pulling the IPO, given that they knew that they were already under scrutiny?
Well, they definitely should have considered pulling the IPO. We definitely, these companies have huge government relations departments. They're in touch with regulators regularly. But it's also quite possible and quite common to see a certain degree of uncertainty from companies in terms of a clear directive from regulators. So it is absolutely possible that Didi wasn't really sure which way to jump, and facing investor pressure, they decided to just go for it.
So does that tell us something about the desperation, perhaps then, that this business had to satisfy existing shareholders and to pull in this fresh capital? Because we understand that China appears to have rolled over in terms of credit growth at this stage, that monetary lending conditions are tightening in the mainland at the moment. Is there a cash crunch for these tech businesses?
No, not necessarily. I actually think this speaks to something else very particularly, and that is the fact that even though the tech crackdown is being discussed in foreign media as a single regulatory action, right? The big crackdown against, tech in China or big tech firms in China, it's actually three separate crackdowns being conducted by three different regulators and regulatory bodies to serve three different ends. So we've got the PBOC, the central bank, and financial regulators regulating fintech companies, trying to prevent fintech companies from engaging in unregulated lending practices, for example, microloans, that kind of thing. You've also got the State Administration for Market Regulation, that's SAMR, trying to come down on companies for anti-competitive practices. And that's what we've seen over the last, most of the activity we've seen against, for example, Alibaba over the last few months has kind of come out of SAMR. And then we've got a third regulator, the CAC, which is China's internet watchdog, their cybersecurity watchdog agency, and they're kind of responsible for data and network security issues. And they are kind of a new player to this mix. They're the ones that have come in and cracked down on Didi. So what we can really see here is that, these tech companies kind of don't know which way to jump when you've got regulatory enforcement coming from so many different places and, again, serving so many different ends.